me to start?
I am.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I'm going to interview you.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay. You lead back.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Mike Corrigan. I'm one of the authors of Multidimensional Education, a common sense approach to data-driven thinking. And I'm here with one of our co-authors, Phil Vincent, and Doug Groves, the other author, by the way. He's not here right now. Phil's written a lot on school climate. He has a book called Restoring School Civility out there. It's a great book. And climate is one of the focuses of our 7 dimensions that we are teaching people to assess more thoroughly, and one of the 4 C's that we help guide them on applying data to. And most recently, we've helped out in DC with the U.S. Department of Ed in developing some new models for assessing and funding the school climate initiative that they're doing. So it seems like school climate's coming back.
Right.
For those of us who aren't aware of school climate, it's been researched for a long time. In fact, in my opinion, some of the best research on school climate was done in the 70s and 80s. Carolyn Anderson did an incredible meta-analysis on school climate way back when, and we learned so much. But when did we lose sight of the importance of school climate? And what's some research that we could share today briefly that we've kind of touched on in the book that might clue some people into how great school climate can be for them?
Yeah, part of it is I think that we have almost separated out academic growth from every other aspect of school, including school climate. And that may have been why we lost sight of it, that yes, we talk about it, but it's really about the curriculum. And what we know is that may not be quite as easy to state. In 1997, the Annenberg Foundation in Chicago, a wonderful philanthropic organization, started wanting to investigate, well, what impacts on student achievement. And they did a rather simple study. What they wanted to find out was if you were a school that had academic rigor or academic push, and you were a school that maybe had academic rigor, academic push, and social constructs that were in place, social support for boys and girls, a great climate for learning, relationship building, what would happen? And of course the antithesis of that would be what if you didn't have that? And they surveyed close to 28,000, a little more than 28,000 6th and 8th through 8th graders. They also surveyed greater than 5,000 teachers at 304 elementary and middle schools. So it's a pretty large group of people and where they were collecting data. And they were using the Iowa Test of Basic Skills, and some of you may remember that assessment.
That's a whole other story.
It is a whole other story. But here's what they found. It was very interesting. If you went to a school with low expectations, low rigor, low push, you didn't even make a year's worth of growth. Your grade equivalency was in reading was 0.57, which is just a little more than half a year. In math, it was getting closer to a year, 0.90. So you were almost making a year in math. If you went to a school that had high rigor, high push, high emphasis, support, academic support, high expectations, you really did quite well. Students were gaining 1.37 years in 1 year of instruction in reading and 1.64 in math, which that's pretty stout. That's a good gain. But here's the kicker. If you went to a school that had high support, high with social emotional support with kids, support the climate, it was a great place to be, it was a great place to study in, to work in, you knew people had your back, parents were excited about what was going on in school. If you went to a school that had that combined with the high rigor, high push, you made 1.82 grade equivalent years, so you're almost at 2 years in reading. In math, 2.39. You are literally in 1 year getting 2 years growth. That's the power of climate combined. And one of the things we emphasize in this book, we don't separate everything out. We look at it holistically. If you combine all this together, it's some power. And the change that occurred was quite dramatic in that. And yet, to me, as important as this study was, I'm not sure it was picked up enough. I mean, there were people that did pick up some information on this.
It's great research out there, but I think in a nutshell, what we're trying to say is is that, you know, when we say create a good school climate, it doesn't have to be like Disneyland where they come and everybody gets a lollipop and it's wonderful and everybody's so friendly and this and that. It needs to be a supportive school
Yes.
where we care for them and help them, but we can push them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we can challenge them and we can make it tough. And in fact, when we do, we double our efforts.
Right.
You know,
Right,
we double our outcomes.
that's right.
And I think, you know, I don't know if with today's model with the curriculum as the input and the test score as the output, I think oftentimes it's the social support that's missing from it. So I think schools that are tough on curriculum and tough on rigor are doing great, but I think maybe the secret that comes from the way the research that we cite on school climate, that if they could put that social support and make it that much more connective, like Bloom touched on,
Yeah.
we could have that school connectivity. That's kind of missing ingredient.
It is Robert Bloom's work and others that have worked with him on if students feel connected to school. You remember the old Beach Boys song, "Be True to Your School"? Well, I'm old enough to remember it. But there's a little truth in that when you feel connected to your school, good things happen. And some of the things they talk about, let me just share with you this. If you want to influence a student's positive connection or attachment to a school, the student needs to have a sense of belongingness and being a part of a school. And that to me is very important. Where can I find places to put kids in? Another adult that's significant with that student. Maybe you're not going to play football, but you can be a great manager. Maybe in the band, you have to struggle to keep rhythm, but we always need someone on the big drum. So you kind of look where I can put kids and connect them.
You played the big drum, right?
Well, yes, I did. and excuse me, I take that personally. I was a very good big drum. No, I'm just kidding. The students like school. Do they have good friends in school? You know, some of you may reflect back on some of your Glasser readings and some of this stuff. Do they think teachers are supportive and caring? And when you look at this, when all these are going well, kids like coming to school a lot better. They feel connected. They'll find their friends. They'll find a place in school, and they'll do better.
Yeah.
So it matters greatly.
As you say, climate is not another thing on your plate.
Climate is not another thing on your plate. It is your plate.
Yeah. So, thanks for listening. Bunch more in the book, and hopefully you're reading it. We'll talk to you soon.